I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It is Sunday. We ain't got a game because we had a game yesterday. I'm so glad West Ham have got no more games for 6 long weeks. To my right, you know who he is. He's Mr. Moyes in. He's WestHamOnline. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. 24 hours has been a bit toxic. Let's be honest. But we're going to hopefully get some people on tonight and have a chat with them and see what they've got to say. Let me start off with you, though. Right, how do you assess the last 24 hours? Like, does everyone need to sort of sit back, relax, and see what happens, or is it a time for action, basically?
Well, obviously the game. It's just I think we played okay in parts, but we lost the game. We still didn't look like scoring. Still, you can just tell we're going to lose the game. So obviously it's very worrying. But we did look a lot better with the ball, with the Gerd back in the side and stuff like that.
Yeah.
After the game, the reaction's actually been probably better than I expected in parts. Today we done the space. There was a lot of people coming on who were actually defending Moyes, and I didn't really expect that. So, yeah, I think most people are Moyes out, but there's more people who are sticking by him than I expected.
Right. Let's get the man in. This man has all the way from the USFA. I think it's, I'm not sure where he's from, Atlanta, I think. But let's get him in and have a look and see what he has to say. So, Daddy, welcome.
Yeah,
talk to me about David.
I am from Atlanta.
I thought you was from Atlanta, mate. I don't forget. Talk to me about David Moyes, mate.
Okay, I understand both points of view. So I'm like in the middle. Like if he was to get sacked, I wouldn't have a big problem with it. But my thing is, if we decide to keep him, right now, I don't want us sacking him when we come back from the thing 3 games in. Because if the board goes and does that, well, you could have just sacked him now and gotten the new guy more time.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I heard you say that earlier on the Spaces. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. You either sack him now, you don't sack him at all. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? Because I think because what you're going to do is you're going to disrupt West Ham again. Like West Ham have been disrupted already once now, and you're going to disrupt us again without a manager. So I do agree with you. What else is there? What's on your mind, Mr. Daddy, in regards to West Ham?
Another thing I didn't agree with this in the summer was selling Vlasic. I would have kept him. I haven't said too much about him, but he's been decent at the other place, and I thought we played him in the wrong position, and he's been a lot better this season.
Yeah, for me, I was never a Vlasic fan. West Ham Online. How do you assess what Sir Daddy has to say on his first appearance on E20 Zone TV?
I think he made a good point about the sacking thing. If we're only going to give him 3 games, and all of them are not the easiest of games, they're not the hardest, but they're not the easiest. It's very vague to say you've got to get 5 points from the 3 games. What if we get 4 points and play brilliantly, or what if we get 0, or what if we get why is it 3 games? If you get what I mean. So I think that's very stupid if that is true. We either sack him now or we keep him for a long while. So, yeah, I agree with Sir Daddy on that. Vlasic, I thought he played well in pre-season, but I can't really see where he would have fit into this team, to be honest. So I don't know where we ever bought him.
Yeah. My thing is, I would have, if we were to sell one of the attacking players, I would have sold Lanzini instead of him.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree on that.
I wouldn't have wanted that.
Anything else you want to add, Sir Daddy, before I let you disappear, mate?
Oh, nope, not really. I hope you guys both have a good rest of your days.
No worries, Sir Daddy. All the way from Atlanta,
Thanks,
Georgia.
brother.
I'm gonna let you go. I'll catch up with you soon, son. Take care, man. For me, West Ham Online, I look at it like this, yeah, and I do see the people who are Moyes in, and I look at them and I think, you've had it so good, you don't want to lose what you've already had. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I do look at the Moyes out, and I think, I agree with the Moyes out. I just think, how long is too long? Like, how long do you give him before it's like you're running out of time? So I can understand it earlier on the spaces. I respect what people are saying. There comes a time where you have to sort of look at it more than just David Moyes. I think a lot of fans think, oh, David Moyes is the man. So what we're going to do is we're just going to back him, but not looking at the overall perspective of West Ham United.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, I think there's a 50-50 on that. We got both opinions on the space earlier. Quite a lot of people on here probably wasn't on the space, so I'll explain what happened. We had James and some other people on there who were saying Moyes has run his course. I think someone else came on, Skamaka fan or whatever he was called, who said Moyes has run his course and he's not used to playing passing football, so why have we bought players that don't fit that sort of system, which was a fair point, I thought. But then we had people like Elite who was making the point of, we're not going to get Europe this year. Moyes and Noble said it's a transition year. So just stick with Moyes for the season, basically. He said we're not going to go down. Let's just give him the season. And if it goes really badly by the end of it, then we'll have to let him go.
I agree. Anyone who wants to come on tonight, the link is in the chat. Click on the link. You come through to the studio. I will let you on and have your say. Let's get a few questions. Lawrence, what will Moyes have to do or not do for the ball to say enough? For me, I think they're talking. And I think there is a 50-50 divide in the boardroom. And I don't think Kadinsky's happy in there, mate, if you want me to be honest. I think GSB are very happy because Moyes is a very cheap manager. And I think Kadinsky is a very much, this is not good enough for the amount of money he's put in. I just think it's split at the minute. I really do. That's my opinion on that. What are you saying? What's that one?
I wonder what they are thinking in the boardroom. I think GSB obviously, they gave Moyes another chance, but Moyes has sort of saved them really because they got Pellegrini in. He spent a load of money. It went wrong, and they sort of went, well, we got no one else. Let's go back to Moyes and hope for the best, effectively, because we were just trying to stay up. Moyes has made them a lot of money. Really, he has, because they didn't. Us finishing 6th, 7th, getting these semi-finals and that, it brings in a lot of revenue. So even though we've spent a lot this year, we probably bought in a lot more than the club expected, if you get what I mean. So I think there'll be more relaxed than people think on that. I've just thought of that. Yeah, that's actually a good point, because I think they'll be a bit more relaxed than people think because of those reasons. So I think they'll want to keep Moyes for a little bit more because they have trust in him. But we all know what GSB are like. I don't think they're really people who care about people's emotions that much. They won't really care if Moyes goes. They won't be like, oh no, David's gone again. They'll just move on to the next person. But I agree with you. He's a cheap option. He's doing well. Well, he's done well for West Ham. So I imagine they'd want to keep him as long as possible.
One thing I heard before, I want people in the chat to put their questions in for Alfie, because I know they're going to want to hear what Alfie's got to say. So please do put your questions in. I will try and read them all out before we wrap. But I heard something earlier on where people say what we'll do, we'll give him to the end of the season, and then we assess it at the end of the season, and then we can sort of get rid of him at the end of the season. But these are the same people who are saying that, who are prepared to chuck him out at the end of the season, but not chuck him out now. Now, my argument to that is that's a very hypocritical way of looking at it. Like, you're prepared to let the geezer go at the end of the season, where we could finish badly, which leads on to my next comment, which is this from Tommy. He says, if you leave it till February, March, and we're still struggling, we'll get a less calibre manager in. As one of the risks of relegation would be higher. Change now, we can get a better manager in. If we do leave it late, we're going to get a lesser manager in my opinion. I think if we was to change now, West Ham now have the power to go, right, we can get a good manager in. We've got a genuine transfer window. We've got good players at the club. We have got good players at the club. Like we can't say we haven't. So I don't understand that with a lot of the Moyes in crowd for me. Like, I'm not going to be disrespectful of them. I'm not disrespectful of you because I respect your opinion. Don't like your opinion, but I've got to respect it. But it comes a time where you've got to look at this and go, well, you're prepared to sack him at the end of the season. So why not sack him now when we are in a bit of a situation where, was it 15 games, 14 points? That is relegation form for me all day long. What are you saying?
Yeah,
I
think you either sack him now or you sack him at the end of the season, because if we get someone in now, they'll have a 6-week break to do whatever they want. But whereas if we don't bring someone in now, it will be obviously they'd have a game round the corner. So if we don't bring anyone in now, I think they're going to keep him for the whole season.
I've got to love this. Listen, I've got 2 comments here, yeah? One's from Epic. I don't respect Alfie's opinion. He's fucking delusional. If he thinks Moyes can turn things around, right? But it is his opinion, though, Epic. I will say that. But I'm going to come to this comment from Andy, yeah? Andy, your book will be with you before Christmas, mate. I mark my words on that. Question for Alfie. Saying he is a cheap paid manager, why trust him with expensive players?
Because, well, it's a fact. Moyes is a cheap manager because the last few years before he came to West Ham, he was on short contracts, which weren't of a high salary. His salary at West Ham is still not one of the highest in the Premier League because he built a reputation since leaving Everton of being a bit of a failure. Obviously, his proof since coming here is not. So he's a cheap manager. He knows that Sullivan sort of gave him an opportunity to come back when he had nowhere else to go. So he's a cheap manager for that reason. And he's done a very good job, so he deserves to be given a chance with the expensive players. And Epic, Moyes has done a great job here, so he could turn it around. So there's no reason to think he can't, really, unless your opinion is that he can't deal with possession-based players.
That system that he does play, though, WestHamOnline, yeah, I've got to be honest. When I look at that system that he does try and play, his possession-based football, and Mitchell brought it up the other day, and I do make Mitch right. He's never played that in the entirety of his career. As a manager, he's never played that sort of style. So to go, like, you can't go and bring in a brand new style, which you've never done anything with any other club you've been with. That, to me, just makes no sense to me.
Well, someone made a point earlier in the space, I think it was Tay, and he said, you've got to remember the coaching staff has completely changed as well. We had Pearce in the club. We had, who was the other one who managed a game against Leicester when we won? Irvine. We had Irvine in the club. And both of them were a bit more pragmatic in their approach. They both focused on corners and set pieces, and we were sort of a team which hit on the counter-attack. We actually brought in coaches who are more well-established in terms of reputation, like Mark Warburton, but Warburton plays a very different style of football, which is Warburton at QPR played 5-back possession-based football. And for a long time, it went really well. So it's going to take a long time. I think we're trying to work out whether we want to play a back 3/5 or a 4. And we keep changing it every game. So it might take a while. And I think personnel-wise, we're slowly developing personnel that can play the possession-based game. Aged came on yesterday. And in the 65 minutes Aged was on the pitch, we had 60% possession. So that's quite encouraging, I think. But obviously, there's a lot to work on.
Yeah, I agree. Jay Woods, long-time subscriber. Hope you're doing well, man. Alfie and James, who realistically would replace Moyes? Poch isn't realistic, in my opinion. For me, when I look at Aston Villa, I look at Wolves. Wolves have gone and got a manager who's won the Europa League with Seville. He's a very, very good manager. But he don't start till January the 2nd, I think it is. Right? Unai Emery's gone to Villa. And Villa paid him out of his contract to get him there. Would I say Poch is unrealistic? Not really. Poch needs if Poch is going nowhere, really, and the Premier League is where he's at. Now, where does he get in the Premier League? He doesn't get in any of the top 6 sides, in my opinion. So for me, I don't think it's unrealistic. For me, Sporting Lisbon manages me, but that's my opinion. Ruben, I like the way he does things. He plays that possession-based football that West Ham are trying to play, but he knows what he's doing in that system. So that's it on me. What about you, West Ham Online? Who is realistic for you? If you could change Moyes,
Poch.
if you could change Moyes today, you have to go and pick one manager who's a realistic target. Who would it be?
Well, Poch, I don't think would come because of his Spurs background, and pretty much that's the only club he's done incredible at. So if I was him, I wouldn't want to tarnish that. But obviously, Mourinho done it with Chelsea to Tottenham, so you never know. I haven't thought that much about replacements because I've wanted to keep Moyes, but going through the names I've heard, Hassan Hootel, no. I like the guy from Sporting Lisbon. He looks a good manager. I watched their game against Tottenham in which they won their home leg. So I think he's got to be an option, but I've heard he's got quite a high release clause, so we'll see what happens with that. Who else have I heard? Tuchel, to be honest, I know Lucas and Mitch aren't a big fan, but if Tuchel wanted to come, I'd take him right this second. He's a winner. People once again can say they don't like the football, but Chelsea had a lot more possession of the ball than people realise. They were a bit pragmatic, but I don't mind that personally. I've seen suggestions of Mancini, not for me, just screens Pellegrini all over again. Who else have I seen?
Don't know about that one. I think Mancini could do a job.
I think he's a better manager than Pellegrini, but I think for us, I don't think he'd suit us.
I don't know. When I look at that Italian side that he had, and he managed to sort of play really, really well, and he still does it now. I know they didn't qualify for the World Cup. They did win the Euros. I don't know. I'm like you on that. I'm 50-50 with him, but I won't rule him out completely, in my opinion. I'm going to come to this comment here from Snazzy, yeah? I've got a point for Alfie. I was listening on the space. Tay believed that if Moyes wanted to, we could sit back and easy stay up if he wanted to, but then said, if we've been found out, and therefore, make that what you make of it. Yeah.
Tay said, if we're really struggling at the end of the season, Moyes knows how to get points. We can just sit back and play on the counter for the last 10 games.
Right. But is that acceptable for you?
Really? Not really. No, because that's not what we want to see if Moyes wants to stay. But if we have to get to that point, then I'd be happy with us doing it. But it would mean that Moyes will have to get sacked at the end of the season.
What do you make of that earlier on? What was said about if Moyes stays to the end of the season, the people who are very much Moyes in now would sack him at the end of the season. Do you think that's fair, really? If the man does well for us?
I think if he does well in the rest of the season, and by well, I don't just mean points wise, I mean we need to see that the play style is something that can be consistent, something that we can repeat next season, something which isn't easy to figure out, something that covers all bases defensively and going forward. So if he does well in those regards, then I'd keep him. If he doesn't, and we're still playing the crap that we're playing at the moment, then sorry, but he'll have to go, won't he? So I'd give him. I would give him to the end of the season as well. I think the same as Lucas on that. But if it gets too bad, the thing is, if it gets too bad, I always think of Moyes as the perfect person to get teams out of relegation. So I don't know. I probably would give him to the end of the season.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If West Ham are in a scrap, could Moyes get us out of it? Maybe. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, he'd done it before. He could do it again. But West Ham shouldn't be in a scrap. That's the question that needs to be said. Like, West Ham shouldn't be there in the first place to be trying to get out of it. So, listen, I get what you're saying. If someone said to me right now, you're going to go and get Sean Dyche or Scott Parker or someone like that, I'll be like, I don't know about that. Right? I don't know. Right? I wouldn't. I think you have to aim higher than the manager that we've already got. And for me, well, Sean Dyche is a very interesting one for me because I think he did do a good job at Burnley, but is he a West Ham man sort of thing? I don't think he is. And Scott Parker, he got sacked by Bournemouth, and look at them with Gary O'Neill. I was going to get to this comment here. Company at Burnley. I've been impressed with Company. I will say that. I've seen a few things on TV with him do it like in like changing rooms, shouting at his players. He's very, very passionate. He does remind me a bit like how Arteta is doing his thing at Arsenal. If Vincent Kompany had a good season at Burnley, and got to the Premier League, and he was consistent with Burnley and doing well, would you take a punt on him or not?
Two things here. If Moyes goes, yes, I'd take Company. I've been very impressed. I think they play a similar sort of model to what Man City try and play. Obviously, it'd be hard to translate at West Ham, but we've seen teams like Brighton do a similar style under Potter. So I'd take Company. Yeah, I think he's still got things to work on. I will say that. I watched them get battered the other day. I think it was 5-2 or something like that by Sheffield United. And my God, were they bad on corners. So that's something that needs to be worked on, but that's not a big problem for me. Set pieces, I mean, he's probably not even the set piece coach, to be honest. But the actual things that he was doing, the positioning of his players, very good. I was very impressed. Also, East Side Views, I've got to say it because it's winding me up. You wasn't right about Moyes. You said Moyes out when he was doing well. So you was wrong.
Right. Let's not trigger anyone. Right, Andy. Emery's 2 games in, 2 wins out of 2. Villa were 2 points behind us when he started and now 4 points ahead of us. Beating 2 top 6 clubs into the bargain. Alfie, luck or good management? Or good manager? Is it luck that Emery's done well? Or is he a good fucking manager?
Unai Emery's a very good manager, but these 2 games, I wouldn't read too much into it. I also wouldn't read too much into Moyes' first game when he beat Bournemouth 4-0. Emery arrived 1 day before they beat Man United, so obviously he couldn't do any coaching. Today probably made a bit of an impact, but I watched it and I'd actually say they were very lucky to win. I don't know how they didn't give away a penalty, if everyone's seen it, where Luca Digne literally swiped someone out. So, but yes, he's a very good manager, but these 2 games I wouldn't say a fair reflection on how well he's going to do.
Another comment for you. Comments are coming in lovely tonight. Moyes' post-match. I think we played well enough to win it. And Keith goes on to say, is he on drugs? We lost 2-0. What did you make of his interview yesterday? Because I weren't impressed with his interview. I think he doesn't want to like dig out the players, but he don't want to admit when it's not going right.
I weren't impressed with his interview either. We played. The thing is, right, we did play somewhat well in terms of keeping the ball. We looked a lot better, but we didn't deserve to win because although Leicester weren't any good, they had the main chances in the match. They missed the penalty, which was a penalty, and we didn't create anything, did we? Did we miss a good chance? Can someone remind me?
Not really. I don't remember. I think Danny Ward had a few decent saves to make, but nothing to say he's keeping him in the game.
Maybe some crosses, like crosses where people should have been in the right positions, but I wouldn't say we should have won.
Yeah. I don't know, mate. Ian, all right, Ian. How can a manager who has carried us into the relegation scrap be the geezer to get us out of it? What total bollocks? Where the fuck would the points come from? I do agree with him on that though, because West Ham shouldn't be there. WestHamOnline, but not a chance.
We shouldn't be here, but I disagree with what he's saying because if you look at if you're going by that same logic, how would the guy who's dragged us into it get us out of it? He also dragged us to Europe, so I mean, say what you want, but I don't really think that that's the right context. And people saying he's a bad manager now. You don't become a bad manager overnight. He's not doing very well at the moment. But he's a good manager in the right team.
Right. But is he, how can I word this? Do you think he's been fanned out a little bit though? Because you take Pierce out, you take Irvine out, you took two old school managers, people who've been around the block, people who know the game like the back of their hand, right? You take them out, and all of a sudden, West Ham seem to start declining.
I don't think it's that. I think they've definitely affected the set pieces. We've been really bad at set pieces this year, which we probably would have a couple more points if them two were here. But the decline started in sort of January time of last season. We lost 3-2 to Leeds at home, 3-2 away at Southampton. And to be honest, since then, we haven't looked very good. And the reason
don't forget, I just got to interrupt you there. Don't forget, we was 25 seconds away from being knocked out by Kidderminster Harriers.
Yeah.
I know. So, right, and people seem to forget that. Like, we nearly did get knocked out by it would have been an embarrassing moment if it wasn't for Declan Rice. So, I hear you, but I do think there's more to it than this. I will say that. I just want to get to his comment.
I will say, I think teams figured out what we wanted to do. We wanted to soak teams up, hit them on the break with Bowen and that, and basically win that way and through set pieces. It was quite a simple way of winning if you think about it. But teams just started sitting back against us and giving us the ball. We had a lot of the ball for a while last season. Suddenly that happened. We were getting hit on the break. So what we were trying to do to teams was happening to us. And we weren't winning games because of it. And that Southampton game was a prime example of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hi, James. I think the board are looking at his performances in the conference games. I hope not, because I'll be honest with you, them conference games, we was hit and miss in them, really. Silkenborg away, Anderlecht, we could have let that one go. Even Viborg in the first game of like the playoff, we was a bit iffy, but we got it done. So I really do hope not on that. Let's get down to here. I stand by Jack Elton. He's the best man for the job. Well, Jack's the man. James, do you have a race course in Romford? I wish I did. I have a greyhound, mate. Wish I had a race. I wish I had a race course. I wouldn't be doing this. Know that. Jay Woods need to change formation, in my opinion, and get some fresh faces in. Missing Cornet big time. Are we missing Cornet for you? WestHamOnline.
Missing him a bit. I wouldn't say big time, but he's a light for light replacement for Bowen, who's been crap. So I guess so. But I wouldn't. I do want to say this because this is really poor analysis from our fans. I saw yesterday Irish Tommy put a tweet out, and he said, "We played the same way 2 games in a row and lost them both at home. What is going on?" And it got 450 likes or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but although you can say we were poor in both games, completely fine, but we played completely different against Leicester to what we did against Palace. Against Leicester, we had a lot of the ball, especially in the second half. Palace was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. We literally sat back all game.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Tommy Smith, Moyes is deluded and arrogant. I agree with him being arrogant. I think the way he's carried on over the last 2 press conferences have been very arrogant. Moyes lost the plot. He needs to retire and chase people across the Scottish mountains. I do agree on that. The morale and confidence would be done, for fuck's sake, if you no logical reason for the argument. So what he's basically saying is in there is the argument to keep Moyes doesn't really make a lot of sense because people are saying, well, right, he's good enough for relegation, but he's not good enough to take us higher, so to speak. What do you reckon?
But he did take us higher twice.
Yeah, but he did take us higher, WestHamOnline, don't get me wrong, but we did have a lot of issues in them times where he did take us higher. Like last season, I will give him his due. I'll openly say it, but the form of this year from 2022 January all the way to the present day has been not good, and I think the Europa League and the Conference League are two competitions that are basically papering over the cracks of what the main issue is. Right? If West Ham continue to go the way they're going, yeah, and I've sort of had a look at it, West Ham are going to finish on about 36, 37 points. If they continue to go, like they've played 15 games, got 14 points. Right? West Ham will be lucky to get 40 points at this rate, the way they are carrying on.
If I'm being honest with you, James, I predict we get 46 points this season, which at the start of the season we would have said, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. But if the play style improves in the second half of the season, and I can see that we're improving and we're starting to tick as a team, then I wouldn't mind it. It's a transition year for me. A transition year. I've got to agree with Tay. I do think this year is a bit of a transition year. It's just if we give Moyes the time to implement it.
Right. But then, is it a transition year though, WestHamOnline? Really? Like, for you? Like, at the start of the season, I turned around and said, I want West Ham to finish in the top 10. Yeah, that's where I expect West Ham to finish. Well, I'm not expecting West Ham to compete in the top 6. I always said this. I said, like, with the conference is going to be the main thing. But surely, top 10, right? West Ham, if West Ham can't finish above teams like Palace, Brighton, etc., then we've got problems, mate. We've got problems.
I think we still probably can come top 10, but I'm not that bothered about that. I think the reason why I called it a transition year is the coaching staff completely changed. The views of the coaching staff completely changed. We went from pragmatic coaches who like hitting teams on the counter and more about physical duels to coaches like Mark Warburton who implement a 3 at the back formation, which is more possession based and possession orientated. We went from players who are good in the box and good defensively, like Craig Dawson, to players who are good with flair and good at passing the ball, like Naya Faged and Lucas Paqueta. And we've seen in recent weeks with Craig Dawson, he's really struggling at adapting to this play style. Yesterday, we played a lot higher up the pitch. First ball goes in behind, Craig Dawson gives away a penalty. So I think the problem is we had players that finished in the top 6 and 7, yes, but they were playing in a mid to low block. None of them were that good on the ball ever. Craig Dawson has never been incredible on the ball. No. Owen's never been great on the ball. Souček never been great on the ball. So we're completely changing our play style. And although we've spent a lot of money, we've still got players who are suited to that play style, and we're trying to find a way out of it. The form hasn't been good enough, no.
But can you do that? Can you do that in-house? Can you do that while we're in this such shit state? I can understand that in certain games, trying to do that. League Cup games, conference games. But when you can't buy a win for love or money at the minute, do you think it is right that he's trying to do this style when we're not getting results?
I do. I think, personally, I think we'll still be completely fine at staying up. I hope I'm not wrong. But I think it's about the bigger picture. I think the Conference League is the perfect thing for this season because I agree with you, the opposition's crap. I think we can still win that thing. And imagine we win that, we'd be in Europe again. If we have a poor season, let me just paint the picture. Let's say we play poorly in the Premier League, but we completely adapt our style. And next season, we're suddenly ready to play a possession-based football that's good on the eye. And let's say we win the Conference League this year, we'd be in Europe again. So in the bigger picture, this season's kind of necessary, no?
Not really for me. I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying because you're looking at progress for the next sort of season. But I can guarantee you right now, I'd have money with anyone. If West Ham keep losing games and keep dropping points and start sliding down that league towards the bottom end of the league, the Conference League will go out the window. It will. It won't matter the Conference League because the Premier League is basically where the money's at. To win the Conference League, you win peanuts for doing it. Fair enough, you're going to get Europe, but West Ham will need to stay in the Premier League, and that's the fear I have. The simple fact of the matter is, our hands could be like forced to say, you know what, we can't compete in this Conference League. We need to focus on the Premier League. And they're starting our best team in the Premier League will have to play every week. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the fear I do have. I do have that. Like, I understand what you're saying if we go and win it, but I don't understand the confidence from some people. Like, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying people in general. Like, how can West Ham go and win a competition when West Ham can't string this? Like, he doesn't know his best system. He doesn't know his best team. He doesn't know how to play this possession-based football with the players and making them adapt. So it's very polarising for me at the minute. I will say that. I'll get to Tom's comment. You know what I mean? Affa's 32. You know who he is. Big week for him coming up, and I hope it all goes well for you, my friend.
Oh, yeah, good big week for Tom.
Yeah, it's not a popular opinion, but I'm sticking with it. Changing the manager doesn't bring success. Just look at Potter at Chelsea. It doesn't always work out. Now, I've got to disagree with Tom on that one. Not the first time I've ever disagreed with Tom, but I do disagree with him on this one. Potter hasn't even got that ain't even his team. Let's be honest. It's Tuchel's team, and he's just picking up basically the crap, really. And he's trying to adapt to the team that he's got. Do I think Potter will come good at Chelsea? I do believe so. I think give him a year, 2 years, he'd be right up there because I do think he's a very, very good manager. What do you think on that, West Ham Online?
I think Potter's not done well so far, but I agree with you. He does still have very good players, but I'd give him a couple windows, Potter. But you don't get a lot of time at Chelsea, so whatever their module is, I'm not sure. But I don't really get why they sacked Tuchel. I think I'm a huge fan of Potter, but I think Tuchel's a better manager than Grandpa.
A top lad's in.
I've just seen a video, James, of all the Newcastle fans celebrating last night, and I'll just tell you what elite. I like elite. I know you two have your little thing, but he replied back to Newcastle fans, our fans could never. They'd all be outside the game trying to get on West Ham fan TV or avoiding the stop go signs.
Yeah. Also, Chelsea have the best wing backs injured. This is a valid point, I must admit. I'm not going to lie on that.
Good point.
Let's get to Paul Chambers. Moyes looks great coming in, saving a club, taking the club upwards. He gets found out. He can clear up someone else's mess, but not a mess of his own making. What do you make of that?
He can clear up someone else's mess. I don't know about what really. I mean, he didn't clear up what happened at Man United, so he didn't clear up what happened at Sunderland before he arrived either. So I think that's a bit unfair. I think he knows. I
think at Man United, let's be honest, he was destined for failure there. Like when you've got Sir Alex Ferguson, one of the best Premier League managers probably ever, right? And then you're going at you've got to try and compete on that level. It ain't gonna wash. And look at Manchester United since they've got rid of him. Right, they haven't really gone. Nah, and they haven't won the Premier League since. So Affers is back again for some more. He can't say no tonight. Change at West Ham has never worked out too well in the past. I'm happy to give him until January. If it doesn't improve, then you get a new manager in with the transfer window to spend money. I disagree on that. Really do. Really strongly do. I respect Affers. We have difference of opinion, but why would you get rid of a manager in January when you can get rid of him now, do a mini pre-season, you give the new manager the first game against Arsenal, right? It's a free hit. You go for it. If it don't work out, you've got games to fall back on. Then you give a new manager the money. I disagree on that comment from Affers there.
I've just seen Smeagol 316. I've never. I don't think I've seen him before. He's put Moyes out, Big Sam in.
Oh, I don't know about that. Tom, don't you think leaving it till January could be leaving it too late? I agree with Steve Bell there, 100%. I really do. Let's get to Kev. I feel, James, the board are going in 2023, which they are, Kev. I can probably safely say that, and I can actually go back over to the ground then. Do you think they really care if we get relegated? I think they do care. For the simple fact of the matter is, their investment will go down the pan. But West Ham getting relegated would be a disaster, absolute disaster, and that's the fear I have. Like people are very arrogant to say West Ham won't go down; they're too good to go down. But to me, when I hear that, I think they're talking bollocks. If I'm speaking the honest truth, West Ham are never too good to go down. Like, and to have that arrogancy to think that, oh no, don't worry about us. Well, we're going to stay in the league. And I do look at Bournemouth, and people say, oh, Bournemouth will go down this year. I'd like people to pick their 3 teams who they think will go down. Like Nottingham Forest will definitely go down. Let's be honest, but the other 2, it's up for anyone, really, in my opinion. So yeah.
I mean, if we go down in a league that has that Everton team in, I'd be really disappointed.
Let me ask you this before I get to some more comments, yeah, because we'll wrap it up soon, right? Who do you think will go down this season, then, in your opinion? Because I'm not saying West Ham will go down, but you can't rule it completely out, can you?
Nottingham most certainly will go down. Bournemouth, I know they're doing okay at the moment, but I mean, come on. But I think Bournemouth will go. And Everton, I genuinely think they go this year. Fat Frank's useless.
Let me ask you this: if they get Bielsa in, do you think that they're still going to go down? Because I don't think Bournemouth go down, mate.
I genuinely think I really like Marcelo Bielsa, but I think if they get him in, they get worse. I don't think they have the players to play that sort of style.
Yeah, I agree with Ralphie. Yes, James, bang on yet again. New manager has 6 weeks to build before the Arsenal game. I agree, Ian. I agree. I do. I look at it in a sort of balanced view there to say that if you bring him in, he's got a mini pre-season. Fucking hell, perfect time. And this is the thing that does me a little bit, Alfie. Yeah, is people will say about this little break. This break could actually save West Ham in one way or another, because I think if we'd have got to the Christmas, we could have had another Pellegrini situation where we just fallen apart all around Christmas. Do you know what I mean? Everyone eating their Christmas turkey, having a yum. Let's get down to the bottom here. I've got so many comments. I heard this before, too good to go down. I remember 20 years ago. For those fans who remember, Birmingham away, Black Country Hammer. I remember that clear as day, mate. I was 16 years old. Trust me, it's never too good. We're never too good to go down. So I'm totally with you on that. Leaving it until January is the worst decision. If West Ham do leave it till January, though, WestHamOnline, would you say who's at fault for that? Really, is it the board, like, for sort of delaying this, or is it because they've got this sort of there's a lot of sentimental value towards Moyes at the minute, which I don't like. I don't like the sentimental sort of loving for a man who is an employee at the end of the day. If they do leave it till January, could that actually do us more harm than good?
Probably. I think that's stupid. So, as I said earlier, when you say to someone, oh, you've got 3 games to turn it around, why? Make a decision now, or don't put a time frame on it. Just see how your mind is, because you might go through the 3 games. He might play really well. Let's say, oh, you've got to get. Let's say they say, oh, you've got to get 5 points, and then he gets 4 but plays incredibly well. What do they do then? Do they just sack him? But that's why I don't agree with it. I don't agree with this. Oh, if you get this many points, no. You watch the games. You judge it for yourself. They shouldn't judge it by how many points you get in 3 games. That is just stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree, but in another way of looking at it is that he's up against that now, though, isn't he? Let's be honest. He is up against it. Like the Arsenal game, I do fear us getting smashed to bits there. If you want me to be truthfully honest.
So essentially they're saying we need to win both the other games because we're going to lose to Arsenal.
I would be absolutely stunned if West Ham go there and just turn into a completely different team. Yeah. The Brentford, Leeds, Wolves games for me are the 3 of the biggest games, really. Like, I look at them 3 games and I think, can West Ham beat them side? At the minute, I look at Brentford. They're very inconsistent. Brentford. They play well one week and then bad.
Very inconsistent,
and then bad another week. Yeah. But the 2 games against Leeds and Wolves are big, big games. Leeds away is never an easy game. Yeah, never an easy game. And Wolves away, by the time we get to Wolves, their manager will be firmly in the door. Do you know what I'm saying? So it is a concern. It is a concern. I can't stress enough how much of a concern it is. So as he says, I can see us beat
James. So
go on.
I've just got to quickly say. So our next 3 games, 3 is Arsenal, Brentford, Leeds. Yeah.
Arsenal, Brentford at home, Leeds away. Yeah.
Brentford at home, or I thought it was Brentford away for something.
No, it's Arsenal away, Brentford at home, Leeds away.
Right. So they're genuinely just saying, because we know we're going to lose to Arsenal. If they're going with this 5-point crap, we have to get 6 then in the other 2 games, don't we? Because if we win 1 and draw 1, that's 4 points. So what is the point in this 5-point crap?
Well, basically, I would, as a fan or supporter of West Ham United Football Club, as like you, I expect West Ham to at least not lose their own games. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So basically, I look at it like this: you have to beat Brentford. Yeah, you have to get something at Brentford, right? The Leeds game. If you'd have asked me this last season, I fancy West Ham every time they go to Leeds. Leeds always on the front foot. West Ham has a counter-attacking side. Bang, like they can sort of hit Leeds on the break and do some damage. You ask me now about it, I'm not convinced, bruv. I really am not. I look at us and I fear like this possession-based football that we're trying to play. When West Ham have always been sort of like a counter-attacking side because we're so used to defending quite a lot. And I expect 4 points for them out of them 3 games. Like I don't think we beat Arsenal, and I expect us to beat Brentford and at least get a draw at Leeds. At least.
I know,
like,
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
My point is, if we get 4 points, then if that 5-point thing is true and we get 4, then they're going to sack him. So I don't get that. Do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah, I understand what you're saying on the points aspect. I do. I really do. But I do look at him and I think it's also the team's got to look good. But if West Ham play Arsenal and we're unlucky, he'll get a pass. Yeah, because it's Arsenal. If West Ham play Brentford and we lose and we play shit, then it's very up and down. It's very Jack on eyes with West Ham at the minute. It very much is. Like we haven't won a game in fuck knows when. The last time we won a game was Bournemouth at home. Right? Like I don't class the Conference League. I class it like sort of the Premier League. Right? And we was lucky to beat Bournemouth at home. Really. Right? So you gotta. But don't get me wrong, we deserve to beat Bournemouth. We're the better side than Bournemouth, but the goals we scored were strokes of luck that I've never seen in my life. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a major problem. I will say that. Before we sort of round this up, give us your sort of final thought on this, because this will be the last time we talk about West Ham for a little while. So give us your final assessment.
Moving on to the England coverage. Wow, can't wait for that. But we've got Super
even
David
more depressing that we're beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go on, carry on, man.
I'll say one thing. We've got Super David Moyes. He knows exactly what we need. Zuma at the back, Bowen in attack. West Ham are going to win the Conference League.
Right. And that's your final thought, is it?
Yeah.
Right. That's fair enough. That's WestHamOnline. Moyes in. You know what I mean? I can't wait for him to get the boot. You know what I mean? Off Twitter. Let's put it like that. Listen, my final thought is this: West Ham need a reaction. Yeah, and if they are backing him, it's all or nothing. Right? It's all or nothing now for me. January's massive. I don't think we're spending no money. If you want me to be truthfully honest, because I don't think we've got any money to spend. Right? I think we've done our dough, and this is what we're getting. It's a major decision that the board's got to make over this sort of 6-week period. And for me, I would rather act now than act later. I think if you act later, you're chasing to stay in the league. Now, do I think West Ham are in threat of getting relegated? Now, maybe not. But you keep doing this, and people are going to keep asking these questions and say, well, West Ham are never too good to go down. Obviously, certain players have to start performing, but the manager has to take responsibility and he has to treat the fans with a bit of respect also. The fans ain't happy. And one gentleman who come on the other day that me and Alfie done, I've got to be honest, he was bang on the money. Are you entertained as West Ham fans at the minute? And the answer to that is no. Like, we're not seeing entertaining football. We're not being entertained. It's very slow. It's very boring. It's very old school. It's very old fashioned, like football to me. And football to me has gone up another level. So for me, I'm going to enjoy these 6 weeks, England coverage and all that. But I do think it's a big 6 weeks for West Ham as a whole. Do you know what I'm saying? Whatever happens behind the scenes, something needs to be addressed. Either Moyes stays, he sorts himself out, or Moyes goes, and then we can sort of move on and try and assess it with someone else. It's either or, basically, for me. Do you know what I'm saying? I've just got to get to this comment here.
Views.
I see. So,
do you have to shut up?
What's it? Big L from Eastside Views tonight, lads. You hate to see it, but it deems the break. Good show, lads. It's from Charlie Walsh, aka the beard to be feared. Right, that's us done, everyone. Listen, I really do appreciate everyone who's been watching. 80 people up to 110. So yeah, please do smash a like on the video. It goes a long way. Please do subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way. I'm done now for a few days. I'll be back sort of the back end of the week to talk about England. Get all the lads on. Will England win the World Cup? As West Ham fans, we need some joy. Do you know what I mean? We need some joy. But whatever happens, we will see what happens.
How much do you care about England, by the way, James? I've got to ask, because some people don't really care.
If England win the World Cup, it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment that all of us will never see. Because England don't win things, a bit like West Ham at the minute, right? Where West Ham don't win things, right? So you've got to listen. You've got to back the boys, and you've got to vote for the best. And if we do well there, it'll get the country up. Listen, the country's going through a weird time at the minute. Let's be honest, with everything what's going on. Maybe like sport can sort of pull everyone together, and it is really what we need. So, how much do I care? I care to a point. To a level, like if England won the World Cup, I'll be over the moon. I'll be happy and everything. But I'm a club man and I'm a West Ham man. So that is it for me, really. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway,
my last words, by the way, is
go ahead.
David Moyes is the saviour of West Ham United, the greatest manager we will ever witness, and the man will win us many World Cups.
Well, he's going to win us the World Cup, but he's a Premier League manager. Listen, you've been hanging around with elite analysts too much, bruv. You need to stay off the old gear. Anyway, from me to you, everyone, you take care. Have a good Sunday, and I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.